Welcome back to a new video. Well, I tried to record this audio once, but apparently my brain had a mini stroke and I couldn't form words and sentences. So I'm going to try it again, and hopefully my tongue doesn't get twisted in an abhorrent way where I cannot even speak in a coherent way. But this video will have 3 sessions, the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Wednesday, I actually wasn't really planning on training, but the Tuesday I made a modification, and the modification was a result of the Monday training session, so they all kind of fit in together, but that's usually how training goes anyway. So this was the no-foot snatch day, and the no-foot snatches are feeling really good. All the rest are feeling really good. The lockout is feeling good, the speed under, and you'll see with the 4 sets of 3 I did here at 90 that I didn't even have to correct my feet. Like, I didn't have to step forward on any of the reps that I did, and I felt like I did basically like perfect reps on all of them, or at least like there wasn't anything that I was feeling like, oh, I need to fix this or that. Like, they all just felt like they were just popping right into the right spot. There was probably like the only one that looked like a little bit forward, but like I didn't have to walk forward at all to do it. And doing all these sessions, these triples here without straps, I think it's just really good practice for me, especially with no-foot snatches, of just not overusing my arms. I think that's something I developed over the years with straps, of just kind of using my arms a little bit too much and kind of yanking on it, or just I guess kind of utilizing the straps to an extreme level to where it wouldn't carry over if I was using hook grip. Obviously there's probably some benefits to just the grip, but you don't really need that much of it for, you know, hook grip on any lift. But it is for me, when I have looked at my snatches like currently, or like in the last couple months versus, you know, like 2 years ago, I have noticed that the action of my arms look a lot smoother, and just the snatch overall just looks better. And I think that's because my arms aren't over, you know, pulling it or whatever with that, and it's just everything about it just looks smoother. So I definitely want to continue to reinforce that. And honestly, for like the heavy lifts, like, it's just good practice as well, to do more reps with hook grip versus not. And thankfully, like, my hands are being able to tolerate it, so it's not getting, you know, tore up terribly. And I'm going through a decent amount of thumb tape, but that is the cost I'm willing to incur to have more consistency on the snatches. Obviously, for variations like block snatches, I'm not going to try to do no hook stuff or no straps, because I'm not a total psychopath. But for these kind of lifts, I think it's good too. It's also a limiter. I'm not going to be, you know, as willing to just push like a triple up if I'm not using straps. So it kind of keeps me from going heavy with those. But if I do feel good, like I really did on this day, then I'll push up with singles like I have been the last couple weeks, and did 100 after the sets with 90. That felt really good, so I went to 110, which was a pretty big jump for this lift, and that felt really good, which felt better than the previous week where I did 105 and that felt really heavy. And then I actually jumped up to 115 and did the snatch, or the no-foot snatch plus overhead squat, which I made as a short as well, so you might have already seen that. And on the second rep of the overhead squat, because usually on like a top set like that, or, you know, weight I think is my top set, I'll try to throw in an overhead squat if I'm feeling good. And did one overhead squat, felt really good. And on the second one on the way down, I mean, maybe I got out of position. I'm sure that's a very distinct possibility, but I felt my left knee a little bit, and so it just looks like a normal miss. Like, there isn't anything like, you know, exploding in my knee or anything like that. But I felt that in my knee, so I just like kind of just gave up on the lift. But it was kind of out in front anyway, so I think even without feeling that, I probably would have missed it regardless. But definitely was kind of weird. And when I was setting up for power cleans later, and actually when I went up to 120 after that, because the 115 felt so good that I was like, all right, I'm gonna at least like try 120 and really see, you know, if my knee feels a little weird, then we'll Clark it. And that's kind of what I did anyway. I didn't commit to it really at all. The pull looked really good, the speed on it looked good, but I just felt my knee a little bit, and I was just like, yeah, I can't mentally commit to that. Here's the 115, so like there, caught it really well. And then first overhead squat went fine. And then on the second one, see if I can see exactly where it's like, I guess kind of when it starts to speed up after that, right above parallel. And then I clarked 120, and you see just kind of feeling out the knee, and took a lot of time to kind of just relax before power cleans, but also to redo my knee wraps, just to kind of crank them extra tight, which is kind of a nice tool that you can use with the knee wraps. You can kind of put them tighter or looser depending on how your knees feel. And I did 70 for 2 warm-up sets, and these were just triples in the power clean, which I actually really like having. I think it's a good idea for me to have in general. But this second rep, or I think one of the first reps, it might have been the first rep there because I did take a little bit before I did the second one, but it didn't feel very good. But then all the other reps felt really good, and really just kind of got me to try to keep my feet a little bit closer and try to make sure I caught it high. If I had to spread out a little bit more, then I felt it a little bit more, but honestly, it wasn't getting worse, and that's kind of, for me, it's always an indicator if there's some sort of, injury or some reason to, stop training on particular days. If there's, more pain or too much pain, or if it's getting worse as I'm training, and I wasn't really feeling it. There, I just caught on my left side, just caught a little weird, so the rep was fine. But I was more apprehensive than I was with actually feeling the discomfort of that. So it's kind of dealing with that in this session, but after doing these triples in the power clean, I actually went up to 130, and I was pretty confident that I'd be able to do it, but I was a little worried that it would, feel really bad when I caught it, but honestly felt good. It was a really difficult power clean, which kind of gave me the confidence to just, continue to train normally. Like if I was going to feel worse, it probably would have felt bad on that one, and probably, it gave me more confidence that it was just a little thing. It wasn't any sort of, major thing that I had. And honestly, like the fact that I'm doing triples in power clean, after having that tells me that it wasn't a big deal anyway. And 2 days, or I guess when I'm recording this audio, I had done some squats and some reps on the squat. My legs feel fine. It's normal fatigue, but nothing that's like swelling or anything like that in that area. And there's the 130 where I got pitched down a little bit, but difficult power clean. And hopefully, as I do more of these triples, they'll feel better. I also realized on this day, so this is the next day of training, I started with push presses and behind the neck jerks. I was originally going to do squats on this day, and you'll see me do a couple of them, but the knee was just a little bit achy. Really, both knees were. And so I decided to push it to Wednesday. That's really the main reason why I even trained Wednesday in general. It was going to be kind of like a light or like a pressing and stretching day, but decided just to push the squats there so I didn't have to mentally like work harder than I needed to on them to work through pain when I didn't need. There was no reason to. But I decided to try to do triples here at 110. On the first 2 sets, I failed the last rep of the triple, and then did 3 sets of 3, which was very bizarre how the first 2 sets I wasn't able to, but I didn't feel any discomfort, which was nice as well. So this is purely just me being weak, missing them. But then with the behind the neck jerks, they were odd. Obviously the fatigue from the push presses added to the difficulty of the behind the neck jerks, and I'm not necessarily worried about getting to a maximal weight with them, but got up to 140 for the first time, and I kept just not driving hard enough and was just not locked out with my left arm. And it doesn't really look like terrible misses with on video, but you just can't really see my feet, so I wasn't able to step forward. Like they were just misses. But then I was able to come back eventually and do a crazy set of 5, which I also will be a short at some point, or I think I might have posted on Instagram already as well. But you'll see also, I didn't bump the crash pads on any of the push presses, but on one of the behind the neck jerks, you'll see me miss a 140 really badly, and it wasn't because of technique. Like I literally felt the right side, so the side that's closer to the camera right now, touch the crash pad, and so that just threw me off entirely. And frankly, I'm glad I just got it over my head and just got rid of it, but it just threw me off. So then I just took off the crash pads for the other sets. So I don't know if that's something, because like I'm looking at these and I feel like I have enough space where I'm not going to hit them when I'm doing these lifts. I feel like it might just be the nature of the behind the neck jerks, because I can dip maybe a little bit lower, but also because my torso goes forward a little bit because of just the nature of having a bar in my back squat position. I might just get it a little bit lower to where the crash pads I won't be able to utilize them as much. But for behind the neck jerks, I don't really mind taking them off the wood blocks. It's kind of a deeper squat obviously than the crash pads, but it's not really that big of a deal. But I hope to be able to continue to use them for like these push presses like this. So I want to continue to use them because it puts it up high enough to where I can just immediately have it into my front rack, so I don't have to readjust it when I have it up there. Obviously, like there I bounce a little bit, but it's basically like in my front rack right away, so I don't have to do like a quarter front squat and then like bounce it up to like recatch it with that. So it takes out less of the guesswork and obviously allows me just to focus on the main lifts. But was happy I was able to come back and make the triples, and essentially did 5 sets. I wanted to make up on the last set at least 2 for the misses that I had to get the same amount of volume I did the previous week with, or at least the same as the previous block or the previous 3 weeks where I did 4 sets of 3. Because I didn't really want to count the 2 misses and ended up just doing a set of 3. So really confident with that. Be really curious if I'm able to increase the weight next week to, I don't know, 115. Maybe I'll feel really good and want to try 120, but it's really the best push presses I've ever felt. And I really think, obviously, it's, the blocks are helping a lot. And for me, it's just good that I've kind of manned up to use them because obviously building my overhead position is just going to be good. And just getting, more overhead work in general is just going to be important for me to do. And especially, to my advantage on a day like this where, worried about my knee or whatever, so that I don't have to do a power clean to do the push press up or really just deal with the push press at all. I mean, the power clean, I should say, at all. So I don't have to, deal with that irritating my knee or whatever. I just focus on the overhead strength, which I lack tremendously. With that first rep there, I missed, and then I tried to do it here, which I was able to make. And I was hoping, honestly, when I got to this, that I was going to do doubles, and I wanted to do multiple doubles, but they were just kind of all over the place, and it wasn't anything to do with my knee. Maybe mentally or subconsciously, I was worried about it, but really when I had that set of 5 that I was able to do, I really just focused on driving really hard with my legs, and that really just put the bar up high enough because, this 140, it shouldn't be a difficult weight for me to behind the neck jerk. Really, no matter how fatigued my legs are from anything or my shoulders are from anything, I should be able to drive it up. It's not a heavy enough percentage, but yeah, that last one there, that was the one where I hit the blocks, and then here, that was the final miss I had, thankfully, and then this is the set of 5, so I just kind of decided to get angry and just kept going. I wasn't really sure how many reps I was going to be able to do. I was hoping to obviously get 2, but once I got 2, I was kind of hyped up. I was like, I'm just going to go until I miss, or at least it's either 5 or miss. It's 5 or bust, but yeah, I was basically, once I missed that last time, I was basically like the Dylan Cooper meme or the idea of lock the doors. Like, I'm not leaving until I do 140. Like, there's no reason for me not to be able to do 140 for, to miss it for the first rep. Maybe for the double, maybe for like a triple to miss on it. But there's no reason, the weight's not heavy enough for me to be missing it. And kind of confirmed myself that if I just kind of man up and commit to use my legs, that I'll be able to hit it. I do apologize. My nose is getting a little stuffy and having a little bit of a cold, so I'm trying not to sniffle while I am talking, which is really difficult because obviously the more you talk, the more you want to get rid of that the snot that builds up a little bit. But I was really happy with the set of 5. Was real hyped up for it too, and really all the reps felt good. I think that rep there probably honestly felt quote unquote worse, but they all felt good because I really just tried harder. And I just have to remember that when I do it next week, that especially after doing push presses, that I'm going to really have to use my legs to get it up there because I'm not going to have the upper body strength from that I would normally have because of the fatigue. So I have to have better technique with it. And honestly, just behind the neck jerks are just nice. It's nice for the volume of it. And, maybe in a couple weeks or whatever, I'll switch to, just regular front rack jerks or jerks from the front. But we'll see. I like the behind the neck jerks for now. And it feels like it's helping on the big clean jerk days. So I'm at least getting the big weights above my head. But this was the session I did today. So just squats and did 2 sets here with 70 just to get myself warmed up. This was the same day. I'm sorry, I'm making up stuff. This was after that. So I took all the blocks out and was trying to squat just to see how it felt, but I did do the 2 sets of 70 and wasn't feeling great, but went up to this 170 and just did a single here and really just kind of felt a little achy on both knees, so I was like, nah, I'm good. Didn't really feel fast, but the speed on it on video looks fine. But this was the session I had today. And something I do have to be cautious about if I am apprehensive about my knees, I pitch forward a little bit more than I should. And obviously that could lead to me straining something in my back or getting a spasm or something. So I have to commit to squatting normally and not just depend on my back and erectors because even though they're really strong, they're not impervious. And so I just have to try to squat as normally as possible. But here's 170 for a triple. I decided to go up to 205 for a single. Part of me was like maybe a triple, but it didn't really feel that great, but it felt pretty good. And I wanted to see maybe of doing this 215 for more than 1 rep, but it moved too slow as you see here. Didn't move too poorly. I didn't have any difficulty as far as joint wise, but dropped down here to 160. which the first set didn't feel great just because I took a while before I started to do it, but decided to do 4 sets of 5 instead of doing 3 sets of 5 like I did last week, because I didn't do as many reps in general prior to the sets, so just had to get that work in that I wanted to make sure. Now, something that my computer does that's quite annoying is that my screen turns off randomly, but I know it's still recording, and I'm doing the sets of 5 now, but I don't know why it does it randomly. It's like I bump something and it turns the screens off, but the computer still runs and all of that. So hopefully I'm still talking over the video, which I envision that I am, but I also need to make sure that I'm paying attention to my sleep and getting enough of it. I think I'm not doing the best at that, so hopefully I do better at that eventually. And it could also, honestly, I think could just be my computer screen actually just going to sleep, because I just moved my mouse and it turned back on. So maybe I'm the problem, and it's not just my screen randomly doing that, but who knows? I guess we'll find out. But just 4 sets of 5, and they all felt pretty good. I stopped after this last set here. I was thinking maybe of doing 5x5, but it was moving a little bit slow, and I started to feel just not as comfortable with it. And I was like, I'm going to be doing the blocks tomorrow, so I knew that I didn't need to go completely crazy on the back squats, and 4 sets of 5 is sufficient. I had 10 kilos from the previous week when I did the 150 for 3x5, and did 4 sets of 5 with the 160 this week, and then the single was heavier as well, so still moving well, feeling good and all of that stuff. So just everything's moving in the right direction, but I just want to continue to move it, and hopefully the knee isn't anything major or anything like that, and I don't think it is, but it might cause me to be a little bit more cautious tomorrow. And if I feel it, then just dial it back, because I'm still training well, and I don't want to have any sort of bigger thing that takes me out longer for maybe one session, or I'd rather mess up one session or have a lighter session, not be able to train as hard, than to have like a week where I can't train or even more. So pays to be a little cautious with that, but I don't think it's anything too big. I think getting enough sleep and eating and all that good stuff will get me in that good state. But didn't take any ibuprofen either, which is a nice thing as well. With my cold, I might honestly need to take some, but I wanted to not take any today for just the fact that I don't want to take ibuprofen all the time, but also to really make sure that I'm not just masking the pain that I don't have a lot. So that's been something I've been really happy about as well. That I think Sunday I took some, or Saturday when I did that heavy session, I took some just because I wanted to really go hard on that day. But most of the time I haven't been taking any, which has been really nice. Just actually, I think that was the first time in quite a while. So thankfully, I'm not depending on that, so I'm not masking the pain. I'm feeling it, but thankfully it's not too bad where I feel like I need to take that stuff. But I'm also not opposed to it, because if I do have a bunch of inflammation, do want to kind of get rid of that. But with my cold here, I might have to take some anyway, so I might kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But anywho, that's enough rambling for now. I'll talk to you on the next one. I hope you all have a great day. Peace.